want to get over to the Nets. Injury woes continuing there. Steve Nash revealing yesterday James Harden has suffered a setback in his hamstring rehab. He will now be out indefinitely. Here's Nash on Harden yesterday in his media availability. Take a listen.
Back to square one. We'll rehabilitate him and get him back whenever we can. And who knows when that'll be, but we'll support James and we'll support our performance team in getting him back and in his best condition as possible. And hopefully that comes, sooner than later, but that there's no guarantee. He'll be back when he's back. That may not be to the playoffs. It might be sooner. I don't know. And we have no control over that other than working as hard as we can to support him and getting back to, full health and being able to play again. And, we're prepared for whatever that may be.
So, Richard, you call Nets games. How much of an issue do you think it will be for this team if they don't have Harden back until the playoffs, which Steve threw out there?
Look, I still stand by this. When you have whoever they play, they're most likely going to have two of the top three players. They possibly could have the top three players. They could have the three of the top four players on the court. So ultimately, it is health. We saw it, a few years ago with Golden State losing to Toronto. Now, Toronto did everything that they were supposed to. Kawhi had an epic season, but we all believe that the series might have been a little bit different had they not had the injuries. If the Nets are healthy, they are favored. If the Lakers are healthy, they are favored. And then the level of health that they have will dictate their success.
Look, Shanae, look at this graphic, right?
Yep. Yeah, and this is interesting bringing up the three players because your girl's a nerd along with Rachel Nichols and always look into the facts. And one of the cool things that ESPN Stats and Info said was that no NBA champion has ever had all three of its leading scorers miss double-digit games. And right now, Joe Harris leads them in amount of games played. I think Kyrie Irving and James Harden both at 42. James counting his 8 games played in Houston. Kevin Durant's played 24. So even though on paper they are the favorites, the reality is that their pathway is so much harder now. And I will say this, when Steve Nash said back to square one, that really did trigger a lot of my alarms because this team is loaded. And by the time now, they're up against the clock. While their games individually, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, they might be cheat codes. Collectively, it's going to be interesting and it's going to get harder because you might have all these guys together, but, overall, putting those pieces together, it's going to be fascinating to see if this team can win a championship on the fly because that's what it's looking like their health has forced them to.
Well, and Shanae, you are 100% correct. When they say a setback, that means that he'd taken his time off, he was feeling good, and then he started ramping up. Okay, he's going to work out for 45 minutes. Then he's going to go hard for an hour and start playing one-on-one. Then he'll start playing some two-on-two. That's how they ramp you up. So when you have a setback and they say back to square one, that means the injury is either the same as it was before the time off or worse. So just put that in perspective. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that. We're just going off of what Steve said. So back to square one means that this might be day one after an injury. So you got to be very, very cautious with him. If he's not back to the first round of the playoffs, if he's not back till, whenever, you want him to be 100% healthy because when he is, it's a problem.
I keep saying I'm not worried, but I want to clarify what I'm not worried about. I'm not worried because I see that chart that we keep putting up where it says when they only have 2 stars, this is their winning record. When they only even have 1 star, right, they are still ahead of so many other teams. I'm not worried that if all 3 of these guys can be healthy for the playoffs, that they will have chemistry issues. I just don't think that is a concern. And I am not that worried even if one of them, say in this case James Harden, is not available for part of the first round or is ramping back up during the first round. Now, where the worry comes in is if one of these guys gets injured during the playoffs and then now they're down to 2 and their chances are down. Where the worry comes in is that it's a competitive East, and when you get to the conference finals, whoever they match up with there, if they make it there, then it's, we'll see what happens. I don't have any set idea of how the Nets are going to do when they get to that level, but I am not worried about the fact that if they haven't played a lot during the regular season and they're all healthy in the playoffs, I think they're going to be okay.